what do we have to think about before we get out there?
I'm not making this up from the moment I just got here. I'm taking this from my book. And one of the things that one of the readers told me really hit him, and he wrote this on my Amazon assessment, my Amazon recommendation
Review.
of the book.
Mhm.
He said it really hit him between the eyes with these two crucial questions. Number one, I want to be known for expertise in blah, blah, blah. And number two, I want to be known for solving this problem, blah, blah, blah. Now,
Okay.
why do you think those might be so important before you show up to anything?
I got to think about mine now. Wait a minute. I want to be known for my expertise in helping people fix behavioral issues and in the
Okay,
workplace. And
okay.
the other one was what I want to solve.
I
I
want
want to
I
I
want to
want
be
to solve the fact that people are held back by their lack of curiosity and are stuck in status quo behaviors. How's that?
good, good, good.
What's yours?
Okay. Mine is I want to be known for expertise in interpersonal relationships,
Okay.
and I want to be able to solve problems in bottom line oriented interpersonal relationships because one has a great deal to do with
What
another. And
does that mean though? Okay, what is bottom line? Give me that definition.
when I'm called into a company, they're not
Okay.
calling me in just to have lunch with me. They're not
I
calling me. No, sorry,
but yes, I get it. Okay.
not calling me in just to talk about this person or that person. They are calling me in because they are having a bottom line problem, a problem with their bottom line. The
Mhm.
productivity isn't up to par. The people aren't getting along well enough. Uh, Things aren't getting done in a timely fashion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they have no idea what I might propose to them. So first, I go in and I hear what they have to say. Why am I there to begin with? So they've called me in to say, so what do we do now? So I go home and sort out all the notes that I have taken when I'm with them, and I start pulling together what I think might solve their problem. Part of that is to do a needs assessment. So I go in and talk to the people to find out what's going on for you. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about your boss? How do you feel about your colleagues? How is usual communication conducted in
Right.
your organization? And then I come back to them with a plan. And I say, this is what I found, blah, blah, blah. And every time it is it's not 9 times out of 10, it's 10 times out of 10.
Hmm.
There is always a major component in interpersonal discord.
Oh yeah. I ask this question a lot in my classes about communication with students, and I'll ask them just to have them think about it. If there's so much written about the value of communication, and there's so many studies that say this is costing us money and this is how you fix it, why do we continue to have problems with it?
I love that question.
Yeah.
Oh, do I love that question. And the answer is
Okay.
you are in an academic setting where I spent years and years of my life. Academia thinks that they're in Ivy Towers and not truly communicating with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And so if a professor says, well, we have found X and Y and Z have occurred, people in industry say, well, that's nice. That's a nice study. And they discount it.
Yeah.
And there is no connection between academia and the corporate world. And this is what I saw time and time again. So I was in corporate America, I was in academia, and
Yeah.
then of course I was in pop culture. So
Yeah.
I have in all of my writings, in every one of my 18 books, I have interspersed pieces from the pop culture into academia and corporate culture so that I can relate better to my audiences. And it's worked for me. For me,
No,
it's
I
worked.
think that's really important because I think you could, the scholarly tone, it doesn't really work in a lot of real world situations. But, there's so many books written to the middle of the road, between scholarly, to try and take in just the research, but to put it in regular speak. And I think there's some great books. I mean, Dan Pink, Simon Sinek, those kinds of authors do a great job. And Susan Cain, they all have great books about different types of motivation and interpersonal relationship kinds of things. But I think, the people who read a lot of it, it's kind of like the people who need to improve their emotional intelligence aren't buying books on emotional intelligence, and so so you need to have leadership buy into the need that we need to train people in the company to get better at emotional intelligence, and they buy into it because they're the type reading it about it, right?
So interesting you're saying that, because every time a CEO or a director of a company or somebody way up at the top would
Mhm.
hire me to come in and do programs for the staff, people would walk out of there. This happens so often. I really started to take note. They would walk out and they would say, "This was so great, but you know who really needs it? Boss." And I would
That's
go back
interesting.
to the boss,
Hmm?
the person who hired me, and said, everybody thought this was very valuable, but they wanted to see you participating in this as well. And
That's a
of
good way of
course,
putting it.
well, I, you
Very
know,
tactful.
I had to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
And most of the bosses would say, "I don't have the time. I
Right.
have these meetings, I have those meetings." And yet, for even morale's sake, it would be a nice thing if you came in and sat through a morning session
Mhm.
or an afternoon session or an hour-long session just to see what they're learning so that when they apply it, it can be applied properly. And I was at a Citibank uh, facility on Wall Street, and the people were beautifully trained. They were. I trained. I did a bang up job in training the underlings to this person, and all of a sudden, one of the underlings turned to her manager and said, "When I'm talking to you in your office, you're not giving me direct eye contact, and I need that to continue." Now, this person who said this to her manager
Mhm.
couldn't believe she had the nerve to even
Yeah,
say that.
that's hard to say.
And she said that diplomatically. She followed my
Mhm.
plan, and
Mhm.
she said that diplomatically. So the manager came back to me and said, "Dr. Gilda, did you train her to do this?"
Mhm.
And I said, "Yeah,
Mhm.
you trained me. You told me that you wanted enhanced interpersonal communications.
Yeah.
So I, in turn, trained the staff to say when they weren't getting it, in order to
Yes.
do their jobs more effectively, they needed to have that from you." Well, this manager was just taken aback. She was at first, I think, a little threatened,
Yeah.
but as time wore on, she was so appreciative because she saw productivity rise.